One of the most common things that cancer patients say is, but I am eating, and usually with a tone of confusion, frustration, often fear, because despite eating, their weight keeps dropping, their strength keeps fading, and their body feels like it's disappearing anyway. Caregivers say it too. They're eating. I don't understand why this is happening. Welcome to Tea Talk, everyone. If you don't know me already, I'm Danny Cade. Now, doctors often assume that if someone is eating, nutrition is being handled. But in cancer, eating and nourishing are not always the same thing. Cancer and its treatments change the way the body processes food. Chronic inflammation alters digestion, absorption, and metabolism at a fundamental level. Food that looks sufficient on a plate may never become usable nutrition at the cellular level. Calories can be consumed without being effectively absorbed or utilized. This is one of the reasons people can eat regularly and still lose weight, strength, and muscle. Cancer cachexia is not simply starvation. It's a metabolic condition driven by inflammatory signals that tell the body to break down muscle and fat even when food is present. Protein intake alone does not stop this process. Neither does willpower. In cachexia, the body becomes resistant to the normal signals that tell it to build and maintain muscle. Instead, muscle breakdown accelerates and the body pulls energy from its own tissues. Appetite loss is often one of the earliest warning signs, and it's not a choice. It's not giving up. It's not depression or a lack of effort. What it is a biological response to inflammation, treatment side effects, and altered gut function. Taste changes, early fullness, nausea, and food aversions are not random inconveniences. They're all signals that the body is struggling to tolerate food in its usual form. When people are told to just eat more, the advice often backfires. Forcing food can increase nausea, intensify fullness, and create anxiety around meals. This is where guilt sets in. Patients feel like they're failing, caregivers feel helpless, and both try to push harder. As a result, meals turn into emotional battlegrounds instead of moments of nourishment. The focus stays on the plate instead of what the body can actually handle. And understanding this changes the conversation. It shifts the problem away from effort and toward physiology. The question stops being, why aren't you eating? And becomes, what can your body tolerate right now? For many people facing cachexia, progress doesn't begin with larger meals. It begins with gentler nutrition, lower volume, slower intake, less pressure, nutrition that doesn't overwhelm the gut or trigger immediate rejection. Sometimes that means liquids instead of solids. Sometimes it means sipping small amounts over time instead of sitting down to a full plate. Sometimes it means letting go of the idea of normal meals altogether, at least for a while. This is not about curing cancer or reversing cachexia completely, although it could happen. It's about slowing and maybe even stopping decline, preserving function, and supporting the body when traditional eating no longer works. Even small amounts of tolerated nutrition can make a meaningful difference over time. When the body finally receives nutrition that it can accept, changes often happen, gradual as it might be at times, but they do happen. A bit more energy, a bit more stability, a little less weakness. These shifts might seem small, but they all matter and they all add up. They give back a sense of control in a situation that often feels like it's slowly taking everything away. If you're eating and still losing weight, this is not your fault. If food feels impossible, you're not being difficult or uncooperative. Your body is responding to cancer in a way that's real, physiological, and widely misunderstood. Recognizing that truth is not giving up. It's the first step toward finding an approach that works with your body instead of against it. If this sounds like what you're living, you don't have to figure it out alone. I put together a simple guide that walks through what helped when eating enough wasn't working, and for when food felt impossible, but the body obviously still needed nourishment. And it's based on lived experience with a dash of theory, and it focuses on approaches that work with the body instead of against it. If you want it, comment the word help or use the link in my bio, wherever that might be, depending where you're sitting, or in the description of this show. I'll make sure it's there. And that way you can make sure you get a copy of it for yourself. Sometimes the most important step isn't eating more, it's finally understanding what your body is asking for. And that's all I got for you today. I hope that's helpful. Thanks, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Stay warm, stay well. Bye for now.